And welcome to Conservative Talk.
And as you can tell, we have a very special guest today, and you're here for Cosmos with the Congresswoman.
Cheers.
And welcome back to Conservative Talk. My name is Justin.
And this is Jamie.
And as always, I'd like to take a moment to remind you of Jamie's Law and that you are required by statutory obligation to make sure you are hitting the like button and the share button on any of the content that we do produce and release, as well as you are bound by moral obligation and duty to subscribe to the channel. That way you can hear Jamie's Law every week here, and you'll know how to live your life and go forward and spread Jamie's good word everywhere you go. You are also required to go to our website at conservativestalk.org and hit that sponsor tab. That way, Jamie can continue to deliver his message across the world and eventually go on to global domination. So, Jamie, with that in mind, would you please care to give us your first reminder?
Boycott hometown headlines. It's getting liberal media out of Northwest Georgia starts with you boycotting hometown headlines. And we've come a long way, and we will continue to do it until it's gone.
So, with that, we want to say a very hearty welcome to our guest today for Cosmos with our Congresswoman, that being Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this, and this is going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. So, want to kind of start off a little bit because we know that you've been in the heat of everything that's been going on, especially up in D.C. with the major thing that's really happening, that being the Biden investigation. And it's really producing a lot of fruitful results, as I understand.
Well, it's no coincidence that this week we had a certain witness come in, one that we've been trying to get to come in for a long time, Devin Archer, former business partner with Hunter Biden. He canceled on us 3 times leading up to this week, but he finally came in with his attorneys, gave extraordinary information, the type of information you would expect to be all over the mainstream media 24/7, just like we saw the coverage of President Trump, the Russian collusion conspiracy, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. Devin Archer told our committee in his testimony that not only did he witness Hunter Biden get his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, on the phone with their business partners to discuss business deals over 20 times, but they were definitely in the business of selling. It was influence peddling. And what Devin Archer told our committee is that the brand was Joe Biden. Joe Biden himself, the Vice President of the United States, was the brand. Now, that information came out and it's explosive. But what do we have happening in Washington, D.C.? What do we see 24/7 on the news? The new Trump indictment by Jack Smith and the special counsel.
Yeah, that's a good little smoke screen to throw out and try and divert the conversation, the topic.
That's what I want to say. It sounds like it's almost a burying pattern, right? Mm-hmm. Because when I look at it as part of this was they would have a way of doing it, didn't they? They would say that they would get then Vice President Joe Biden on the phone. He would say, how's your family? Talk about whose name, like say their names and things like that. And then they would go back to Hunter and have the business conversation.
Well, they definitely had business conversations. And I'll tell you this, Jamie, I've been in business for over 25 years. And every business meeting I have ever been in starts with, hey, how you doing? How's your family? How's the weather over there? Yep. It always starts out with the niceties. That's just how business meetings work. That's how socializing with people works.
Yep.
But they would put Joe Biden on the phone to show we have the vice president and he will make deals. But let's go further than what Devin Archer told us. We also have the WhatsApp chat where Hunter was texting his business partners in China saying, I am sitting here with my father next to me waiting to talk to you. This wasn't just to talk about weather and to talk about the family and how's your mama and them. This was about doing business. and the Bidens have raked in tens of millions of dollars. And on the Oversight Committee, we have the bank statements to prove it. We have the wire transfers. We have the information showing the payments from China, Ukraine, Romania, African countries all over the world where wire transfers went into these fake LLCs and then payments went out one after another to all the Biden family members, even to grandchildren.
Yeah.
And what were they selling?
Yeah,
What were they?
exactly.
Nothing.
And that's the thing that always gets me, right? Is because when you start looking at how they structured it, it would all go into one account, am I correct?
Yeah.
And then they would divvy it out from there, almost as if they were trying to dilute what the payments were, which is where he gets the tax issue.
That's
I
right.
think they call those rat holes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really money laundering is what it is.
Correct.
That's the real term for it. And it's a big crime. What we also uncovered in our investigations, and we have more to do, it's not over with, is through the IRS whistleblowers that came into our recent Oversight Committee hearing. It was unbelievable. I questioned them myself about Hunter Biden's payments to prostitutes, where he was buying them plane tickets and paying for them to travel across state lines. For example, I held up a poster and showed in particular a plane ticket that he paid a prostitute that lived in California to fly to Washington, D.C. on July 14th. And then there are pictures of them and videos of them having sex that, no, I didn't put these out. Hunter Biden put them out himself.
Which is
because
ridiculous.
he filmed sex videos with these prostitutes and uploaded them to multiple porn sites. And that's what I was exposing is he violated the Mann Act. That's human sex trafficking. And here's where it comes in with the IRS whistleblowers. They knew this as well. You want to know why? Because they had discovered it in 2018 when they were investigating an amateur porn website. That's where they came across Hunter Biden. But as they investigated him further, they also found out that these payments to these prostitutes, he was writing them off on his taxes because he was paying them through his law firm. And so this is the level of criminal activity. It goes from everything from money laundering to influence peddling to straight up bribery of the vice president of the United States with a $5 million bribe that we have proof of on a 1023 form from the oligarch of Burisma, down to these payments into the fake shell LLCs companies that were paying the Biden family members. I mean, the range of crimes is it's something, it's unspeakable. But yet here today, what are they doing? They're indicting President Trump once again. But here's what they really do. And Jamie and Justin, you guys can appreciate this as well as any of the folks, if you're watching and you live in our district, in the 14th district of Georgia. They did the same thing. They did the same tactic to me in 2022 when they tried to take my name off the ballot and take away our voters' First Amendment rights to reelect me. That is exactly what they're doing to President Trump. They are running all these charges against him in order to remove him off the ballot and take away the American people's First Amendment rights to reelect President Trump in 2024.
Yeah, I think just the timing of some of these indictments also plays into the whole media game. And I'm not saying that there's a larger conspiracy to that, but I just think it's interesting that as this investigation continues to get deeper on Hunter Biden and the crime family issues, more and more indictments that weren't foreseen beforehand are now coming to light that they're trying to make, real.
Oh, it's just starting, and you're right. And there's a whole calendar to it because what is it? It's election time.
Yes.
As the primaries are ramping up, our Republican presidential primary, I consider it over. I'm sorry. I think President Trump's already won it.
Yeah.
If that offends anyone, I'm sorry. There is no Democrat presidential primary because the DCCC has declared there will be no debates.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, Bobby Kennedy, you don't have a chance, or any other Democrat presidential candidate, because they're going to refuse to recognize them. But this is when we really start moving into campaign season. But however, it's going to be nothing but a litany of indictment after indictment. And today, starting with the grand jury in Washington, D.C., is going to be the domino effect for state after state after state, as these George Soros, progressive, radical left funded DAs are coming after President Trump because they all campaigned and got elected on the fact that they want to put Trump in jail.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's disheartening to see the assault that you're seeing there. And I hadn't put those two together, but you're absolutely correct. It was the same attack that we saw, that you saw in 2022. I mean, it's the exact same thing. Yeah, I forgot which state it was. I think it was Michigan, where the attorney general there is moving to have him removed from the ballot under charges of the conspiracy to try and overthrow the United States.
That's right.
And I don't see how they're making these connections. There's no real basis behind it. But at the same time, that's their MO. That's their playbook. That's what they do.
That's right. That is the playbook, because think about it like this. We can compare the two. Our district was going to reelect me by a landslide. The left knew that. The National Democrats knew they couldn't stop it. So their tactic was, let's charge her with insurrection, which was outrageous. And I actually had to sit. I think I'm the only member of Congress or elected official so far that has actually sat on the witness stand under oath and had to face those charges. We beat them, but their goal was to take my name off the ballot because they couldn't beat me. They know, because what do we see, guys? Poll after poll after poll. President Trump is not only winning the Republican primary, he is blowing away Joe Biden in the general, and they're terrified. Same strategy, same tactic.
I think he's up by 30 some odd points in the last poll that I saw that just came out the other day. And he's up by 30 points in the primary, and he's beating Joe Biden by 4 to 5 points nationally. So, I mean, it's early, and that gap is going to widen as more and more comes out about Joe Biden. In all honesty, I think that folks are seeing the persecution that President Trump is under and is receiving, and it's bringing them more to his side. And it's really going to ramp up a lot of those who didn't participate in 2020 or 2022. It's going to bring out more people that are registered to vote or who are not already registered to vote. And it's really going to give them the energy to see that there's an American under attack by the federal government. We're going to rally behind him and give him as much boost as we can.
100%. I was saying earlier before I came over to be on the show with you guys, honest to God, I would elect President Trump from jail. I would vote for him while he's sitting in a jail cell.
Yep.
I totally agree. I don't think anyone's backing away from Trump. And if anything, they're going to be flooding his campaign and his defense fund with donations. Everyone is going to rally around him even more, because people that, I mean, we know this, just a lot of regular people that maybe not as politically engaged, they sit on the sidelines, they catch the news a little bit here and there. They know what this is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what this is.
Yep.
And the Democrats aren't winning on Bidenomics. Bidenomics is destroying so many people's ability to pay their rent. People are in terrible credit card debt. Senior citizens have to choose between buying medication and buying groceries. That's what Bidenomics has done to our country. That's what it does to people we know all around Northwest Georgia. But the reality is, no, they think they have to put him in jail. And I tell you what, we will vote for him by a landslide while he's sitting in jail cell. And that's how we'll bust him out of prison if it comes down to it.
Oh, yeah.
This is organized at a level that is unprecedented, which is also part of the problem, because you start looking at all the DAs who are elected Democrats who are coming in, and now they're just finding things that they are trying to do whatever it can to make it stick, to, like you said, remove them off the ballot.
Yep.
My question.
Well, it's like they're taking a handful of spaghetti and just throwing it against the wall with as many charges as they can possibly come up with, or in their wildest imaginations may be able to draw some kind of a linkage there, and just to see what needles actually stick to the wall that they could possibly get to stick there. But as we all know, I mean, there's nothing really there with any of it.
Well, they don't look that good.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's my question for myself, as well as the rest of the American people, is how do we, as a nation, start to get ahead of this? Because this is the thing that socialism does. Like
communism. Jamie, I'll push back on you. This is not socialist. These are communists.
And the way I've always seen it is once you allow socialism in, communism is next. And I just think that we're reaching a point now to where once we have organized investigations amongst one party for another, we will start to see a very fast landslide to where, like what we saw in Russia, where they just start prosecuting anybody who comes after them.
Well, let me move you from socialism to communism real fast. The judge that happens to be presiding over this indictment, this case in Washington, D.C., was a former attorney in Hunter Biden's law firm. So we're past.
Yeah.
You can't make that type of
You
stuff
can't
up.
make that up. That's
wow.
There it is, right there.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. And then we know the mainstream media, they're going to just roll. It'll be just nonstop coverage. But I really don't think it's going to work, guys.
I don't.
Honest to God, do not think this is going to work.
Well, I think the American people have, have gotten a lot wiser over the last couple of years, right? Because they've seen them do this in different phases. First, it was COVID. Then when they started pulling back, they tried to do it with monkeypox. Then they tried to do it with the economy. You remember that? Like that was like, I thought it was fake. You remember? I thought it was made up.
It was made up.
And then all of a sudden it started being on the news and everything else. And then it died out completely. Right. So
that's because we all made fun of it.
Yes.
And they tried to put another pandemic on us after they shut down the country with COVID-19, the, Wu flu virus, the Chinese virus, whatever you want to call it, the man-made bioweapon from China. Then they tried to throw monkeypox on us, and we were like, oh, no. No. You only get monkeypox by a choice.
Yes.
So you can choose not to have it. So America's not buying that stuff anymore.
And then once the economy...
If you are going to do something like that, come up with a better name.
Well...
I mean, really. Monkeypox? Come on.
The thing that got
COVID at least was catchy.
We all know that we're
I thought the emojis were fun.
the emojis were fun. The emojis were fun. The memes were good too. The looming thing for me is we're close to a recession. Everybody knows it. We're really starting to feel it. We're waiting on the bubble to burst. I saw something earlier that really made me laugh. It's like when you start paying TikTokers or donating to TikTokers for eating ice cream, please tell me that there isn't a bubble.
Well, to that point, we were actually just downgraded by the Fitch rating system from a AAA at the national level to an AA+. So we no longer have the AAA rating for issuing international bonds.
And
that happened. That happened. What was that in 2009? I think 2008.
Yep.
That happened before with the bubble. It's a weird economy. So obviously, you don't have to be very smart to understand that if you shut the economy down and keep it on lockdown and stop the supply chain for 1.5 to 2 years, and then you open it back up, that things are going to go well. That's kind of how it works. Biden doesn't get to take credit for that. Actually, he suppressed it. It would have been a lot hotter.
Yes.
It would have been a lot stronger. We would have had a much bigger recovery. And I think America would be doing really well if we had President Trump to oversee that process. But we didn't. We had the Biden administration or the Biden regime. That's really what they are. But here's what's really interesting. We have record high inflation, highest in 30 to 40 years. We also have massive credit card debt. This is what really concerns me. More Americans today have credit card debt that they'll never get out of. Many of them will end up in bankruptcy. But with this high inflation, high credit card debt, let's add on something that's really concerning. Let's talk about BRICS. This is the combination of these other countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia. And there's more countries that have joined them. And they're trading in their own currency, not the US dollar. That's where the real danger is. And the Biden administration, our government, acts like it doesn't even exist. And if our dollar falls, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter if you are staunch Democrat all the way and you wear I hate Trump shirts every single day. Guess what? You're going to be in trouble if our dollar goes down. It doesn't matter who you are, but if you have a bank account with money in it, US dollars, you're in trouble. That's where we're going. And that's one of my greatest concerns.
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, they're meeting later this month for kind of a global summit where they're actually going to be discussing moving away from the the dollar as the international monetary commodity and moving towards their more digital currency that they've created amongst themselves.
So
essentially destroying every part of the American economy.
The part of the biggest problem is they're trying to create their own IMF. And once they do that, then the lending between those countries will be done through this new system. And that also led to Russia just kind of forgave billions of dollars to the African nations, which is going to be
because China owns them.
Correct. Which is going to be a growing problem because all it is circulating. They're trying to devalue the currencies that they already have in fiat so they can come in with whatever digital money that they want to and replace it.
That's right. And one of the most frightening speeches or parts of the speech, I went and listened to the Prime Minister of India. He came and gave an address to Congress. And I wanted to listen to what he had to say. India is a massive country. Yeah. What are they? The second largest population in the world.
Yep.
Their buying power is huge.
Yes.
They should be a trade partner of ours. But the war that we have supported in Ukraine against Russia has actually pushed India into Russia and China's arms more than the United States. Well, the Prime Minister of India talked to us about their digital currency. And that frightened me because he raved about the digital currency. But what he talked about is the ability to microchip their citizens.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have microchipped a large portion of their citizens in India. And to buy and sell, it happens with a microchip implanted in your body. And if you're a Christian, you know where that's going. I mean, all of us know that. But the ease to buy and sell is what he was talking about, how simple it is. And he goes, money goes in your banking account just like that. It goes right in. But let me tell you something. We all know it can go back out. With the power of a government, that if you become, in their eyes, a criminal or an enemy of their government, like the federal government today has declared President Trump an enemy of the state, and they have, Jack Smith and the special counsel has indicted him on these unbelievable charges of conspiracy. But the whole thing is a conspiracy theory, and it's a lie. But think about that. And if that's the direction we're going in, then that's not the America I want to live in. I do not want to live in any country where the government controls the ability for me to have money in my bank account or my ability to buy food or to buy my needs for my family or for myself. And I'm afraid I think that's where we're headed.
So that's the rabbit hole.
Well, if you want any more proof of that, then if anyone out there is saying that'll never happen, that's way too much overreach. Look at what happened to the truckers in Canada.
Well, and my point exactly, right? Because that's the rabbit hole I've been stuck in. Crypto was great when it was decentralized to get away from the central banking system. Mm-hmm. But once they took it over,
right,
that's when things changed. Now you combine the microchipping that India and other countries over in Europe are doing. Mm-hmm. You throw that in with the social credit programs that China's doing to say, like, if you're a good citizen.
You mean ESG?
Well, see, ESG is the corporate level. In China, they're doing it on a citizen level.
It's cascading.
Correct.
Here in the States.
Because now they're trying to put it on all the companies that are doing strong business in China trying to meet that ESG level.
Yep.
Which only
but
continues to.
Then there's the citizen social score you're talking about.
Correct.
Which is different.
And once the citizen social score goes in and you start chipping people, now we have fully moved into an aristocracy version of communism that will never change if we don't stop it now.
No, that's when they have full control.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what nobody wants. Nobody wants this. No. And then you add on the ability to shut a country down with a pandemic or to demand that you take a vaccine that you don't want, which is, we've already seen that happen. And the results have been horrible. I serve on the COVID sub-select committee, and we're investigating all parts of COVID. And the part that I really want to get into is investigating the VAERS reports, all the reports of injuries and deaths. And there are, I think it's nearly 1 million from the United States. And when you add in reports outside the United States, the VAERS reporting system has over 1.5 million reports. And the amount of deaths are staggering. Here we just saw a famous celebrity. What was her name? Tori I don't know her name. She's an actress or celebrity. I don't follow those people. Anyway, she's 30 years old, young woman, and she's hospitalized and finds out she has blood clots around her heart. We see famous athletes dropping dead constantly, having heart attacks on the field. We know about the myocarditis issue, especially in our U.S. military. These are the healthiest people in the country. Young men, they don't need to take a COVID-19 vaccine. They can get over it easily. But the unwillingness for people to want to investigate those VAERS reports is outrageous to me. And the Democrats on the committee act like, oh, no, those are like conspiracy theories. Those people are conspiracy
Fully
theorists.
healthy people who probably never got sick a day in their life until they got the vaccine. Now all of a sudden getting sick and dying.
Yeah.
And
or
the only
suffering life debilitating side effects. And I'm sorry, these aren't conspiracy theorists, because a lot of the reports also come from nurses, clinics, hospitals, doctors that are reporting what they saw happen with their patients. And that's another wrong that our government took part in. They funded these vaccines. Pfizer and Moderna made billions of dollars while they forced the vaccines on Americans all over the country and the world. They told the world, hey, you got to get your vaccine. Hey, buy these Pfizer vaccines, buy these Moderna vaccines. We have them to give to you, but you got to buy them. Or they forced countries, no more foreign aid until you take your vaccines. It's outrageous.
The thing that really got me was the fact that even now they still refuse to allow soldiers who were dishonorably discharged because they refused to take a vaccine to now come back into the military.
Now, that's something that we're changing in the NDAA. So the NDAA has not been officially passed. We had our House version that we passed, and we moved it to the Senate. The Senate went back and did changes that we don't like. And then we'll be having a conference between House members and Senate. Thankfully, Speaker Kevin McCarthy has appointed me to be involved in that conference, so I get to take part. Here's what I'm saying we have to do. We have to remove any funding for abortion. No abortion vacations through the military. That should never happen. I'm sorry, no trans medical treatment. As a matter of fact, trans really don't belong in the military. That's not what the military's for. It's for the defense of our nation. Right, Justin?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Another thing that we have to do is, of course, no COVID vaccine mandates, but reinstate every military member that was discharged, that was kicked out, and that was told that they cannot be in the military if they refuse the COVID-19 vaccine. They were wronged. They need to be allowed back in the military. But to go even further, there's other things that have to stay in the NDAA. My red line in the sand among these other things is no funding for Ukraine. The NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, is for the defense of the United States. It funds the Department of Defense. And on the Department of Defense website, it says the mission. And the mission is to deter war and protect our national security interest. And funding a war in Ukraine doesn't deter war. It actually creates war. And funding and fueling and getting engaged in a war against a nuclear armed nation, Russia, does not protect our national security interests. Actually, it puts us at threat of a future possible nuclear World War III. So that's my line in the sand. So we still have to work on that NDAA. And we'll be doing that, I think, probably maybe late August, September is when it'll be happening. But I'll let you guys know and keep you updated on that.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And I know your time's pressed, and we really want to say thank you and really express our gratitude sincerely, and you coming in and taking the time to talk to us. We know we're not the big national news media, but we do at the same time. We like to keep things local, and I know that you are as local as it comes around here. So again, thank you for coming in with us.
Well,
and everybody always asks, what is it for you? Because I get starstruck when I'm around Marjorie. Everybody asks, why is that? I was like, because there's no other place in the country to where you can go to the grocery store and see your congresswoman. You can she can come in our studio. Like this is unprecedented for the country to have a congresswoman or any elected official at a national level who is willing to be as personal as you are.
Oh, thank you. Well, to be honest, I'd rather hang out with you guys and all the good regular people in Northwest Georgia. all day long than the elites, and I'll say the idiots in Washington, D.C. So thank you guys. It's been my honor to be here tonight.
Well, we'll be back in just a bit.
All right. We'll enjoy Cosmos.
So again, we really want to say thank you to our Congresswoman for coming in here and taking the time, sit down and speak with us. She really got us filled in and up to date on a lot of the things that are going on, and opened up a lot of other rabbit holes that Jamie and I have pursued over the past several weeks and months as well. So we do know that we at least have our finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Yeah, I honestly, if you've watched our show, it was really reassuring to us that we weren't too far off the path when to hear some of the things that Congress has been talking about, or just things that we've been talking about on the show as well. And y'all, if anyone who knows me knows I always get starstruck when Marjorie's around, mainly because here's someone who is truly out here fighting for our values and fighting for what we believe in. I mean, she's as personal as it can get, being down to earth, personable, and I don't know, she's my favorite person in Congress. So glad to have Congresswoman here to kind of sit and chat with us on Conservatives Talk.
Absolutely. And hopefully it'll be one of many times to come in the future.
Yeah.
But, well, with that in mind, we do want to take a quick moment to remind you of your obligations under Article 2, Section 4 of Jamie's Law, that does state that you shall like and share everything. That is the first commandment. And the second commandment being that you shall hit subscribe. That way you can always receive Jamie's good word and know how to move forward in your life in a very productive manner and bring prosperity to all those around you. Article 3 says that you shall go to the website conservativestalk.org and donate your proceeds, or to quote exactly from the law, give us your tithing by becoming a sponsor, so Jamie can continue with his prosperous and luxurious lifestyle, because we all know Jamie deserves the best. So Jamie, or
no,
I am not worthy to say the name. With that in mind, would you please give us your final thoughts?
I don't know where to go from here. Other than, honestly, here's where we go from here. It's now more important than ever to continue to stay on the local level and get involved locally. It's off your election cycle, which means all of your municipal elections are up. In Floyd County, we have, really the city of Rome, right? You have some seats coming up that are going to be very important that I think people need to pay attention to. So make sure you stay tuned, get local. Don't forget to get involved in your school system and your school board. Since school has started, now's the time to join the PTA. Other than that, I just want to say, again, if you have any interest in running for office or getting involved in the process, please go to conservativestalk.org and, shoot us your information and let us know what state you're in and what office you want to run for, and we can connect you to the right people.
Absolutely. Everything that we discussed today was at the macro level, but the micro level is often overlooked.
Yeah.
And the micro level is the most significantly important level when it comes to your every day-to-day life.
Yeah, this is why we have powerful people like Congresswoman Greene to go out there and fight on the national and international stage for us. But we need strong people too at the local level who are willing to get down there and make sure that your millage rate is okay, that all of these special taxes are good. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Well said. So with that in mind, this is Conservatives Talk, and we will see you soon.